Today is ever since I learned I was coming here and getting to work with a company that I think so embodies these principles, I would like to do an experiment with you. Now, none of you have to participate in any of my experiments. We no longer have consent forms after the last electric shock problem, but if you'd like to participate, what I need you to do is to partner up in pairs of two. Okay, so I'm legally required to tell you you're not allowed to be partnered to anyone that you're married to or that you want to be married to, so some of you might need to shift around a little bit. The person, number one, you're going to be sitting closest to this wall. Person number two, you're sitting closest to this wall. Some of you might already think you're number one, but for the purpose of this experiment, person number one's over here. Great, so if you're person number one, raise your hand for me. Person number two? That's not the experiment, but that was excellent. We have to do this now because 6 months ago we did this on Wall Street. It literally took them about 5 minutes to figure out who was number one and number two, which is part of their leadership problem. So, all right. So, how many of you out there have any background in psychology? Raise your hand. Oh, great, a couple of you. For you, this is what we call the emotional prime. For everybody else, this is nothing. But what kind of strategies are you using? In your work, in your home life, are your strategies working for you? Do you need a new strategy? Is the strategy getting you to the happiness that you've been looking for? Well, what they never taught us was how to be happy in our jobs. A very important skill, actually. So when the economy collapsed, when funding was cut, when the recession hit, when the dream job was lost, how do we handle what we perceive as stresses in our environment? When we have a change in mindset, what we didn't know is that that mindset can actually affect the way that we perceive stress. We didn't know that challenging times in themselves were a tremendous opportunity for growth, that half of the Fortune 500 companies actually came out of the last recession. The other common misconception we hear about happiness is, well, aren't some people just naturally born happy? And the answer is yes. Actually, some people are naturally born happier than others. And yes, some people actually have childhoods that make it easier to choose happiness, but that does not have to be the end of the story. We now know from science, and this is an adorable picture of two identical twins, we now know that genes do not necessarily determine your outcomes. I actually had a twin come up to me after one of my talks, and she said that her and her sister both used to be incredibly negative, but now she's positive. And I said, oh, what happened? She said, well, when I was 16, I was in a horrible car accident, and the car accident made me rethink my perspective on life, and that I realized that life was meaningful and that I wanted to use it to the fullest of my capabilities. So she had then made a choice consciously that was different from her sister. And her sister still remained negative, but she was positive, which shows that our mindset can actually trump our genes, that we don't have to let that be the end of the story. And we know that happiness spreads, that we have the ability to choose to spread negativity or positivity, but by spreading positivity, you have the ability to become a positive outlier, and you have the ability to create a different kind of organization that you work for. Now, I realize that I am the last thing between you guys and happy hour tonight, but this is the perfect time to practice not only social connection, but also put these habits into practice.